let me know if you guys can see the screen. Okay, not yet. Just give me a second. Fariada, can you share the screen? Of course.
I did not join from laptop.
Yes. Do you see Disciplining the Soul by Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah? Okay. So let's begin. Bismillah, bismillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just making sure that I am visible. Am I visible? Am I visible? All right, cool. Okay. Look, just a second. I'll join from my laptop too so that I can see myself. Okay, so let me start off the meeting by asking everyone, what do you understand by discipline? Is it just give me a one sentence? What do you understand by discipline? What do you when you hear the word discipline? What comes to your head? Because this one word is something that we have been hearing from our pretty tiny age. This class has no discipline. Or what is this, a fish market? Stuff like that. So when you hear the word discipline, what comes to your head? What's that? So one sentence. Don't need to respect an order. Jazakallah khair, sister or brother Zamzam. And then discipline. What does it mean to have discipline in one's life? Anyone? What do you mean he has manners? Jazakallah khair, sister Fatima. Yes, correct. Having manners is having proper manners can be said as discipline. Controlled way of behaving. Fantastic, sister Masulma. That's a very good way to put it. Curbing desires and impulses for goodness, not influenced by nerves. Beautiful. Doing what needs to be done instead of doing what one feels like. Exactly, brother Faisal. So see, firstly, before this session starts, let me just say that I am one of the most underqualified person to speak on this topic of discipline. Okay. Just because my team said me to, I'm doing it. I am not a very disciplined person. I have a lot of work. So just so that I do not fall under the ayah, لِمَا تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ, why do you say which you do not do? I'm not sure if that's the exact word by word meaning, but basically hypocrisy. Okay. I just saying a disclaimer that I'm not the most disciplined person. Okay, but I do know what discipline is and how I should do. Even though I don't exactly practice it. I should be practicing, inshallah. So anyways, discipline, what's the difference between discipline and motivation? Okay, there's these two words that are not exactly the same, but have similar meanings. What's the difference between being motivated to do something and having discipline in doing something? What's the difference between both of that? What's discipline and motivation? What's the difference between motivation and discipline? Someone in the chat? Which do you think is more important in our life? One has consistency and one doesn't. Exactly. Motivation is a temporary feeling that comes and goes. Fantastic. Motivation goes down eventually. Discipline is like being consistent. Beautifully said. Exactly. See, motivation is something, we all have had that feeling. Sometimes suddenly we feel like, I need to fix my life. I've been lazy for a long time. This is not how I should be. I should get my things done. That is motivation. Motivation is a theory, but discipline is a practical thing. Yeah, that could be a way to put that. Exactly. Motivation is something that we feel, that urge, that powerful, peak in the feeling to do something. That's motivation. Discipline, on the other hand, is, before saying discipline, let's look at our religion, Islam, all right? When you take Islam, basically a lot of our life revolves around acts of worship. And a lot of these acts of worship screams discipline. For example, whether I feel the need to pray, or I don't feel that much, iman boost, I had to pray. I don't have a choice to or not to pray. I have to pray regardless of how I feel. I have to fast, or I have to fast regardless of me feeling the spiritual boost to fast or not to fast. I don't have a choice. Okay, I have to do the acts of worship regardless of how I feel, the obligatory acts of worship, right? That is exactly what discipline is. Regardless of how I feel, regardless of my mood, regardless of my emotions, I do what I'm supposed to do. We get the things done, what is supposed to be done, regardless of whether I feel like doing it or not. That is discipline. Motivation, on the other hand, is just the emotion. So it's easy to do a task while we are motivated. When we hear, a speech, or when we hear a khutbah or something, that urge, that sudden surge of, the feeling, the powerful feeling that comes, that is motivation. And it's easy to do tasks while we are motivated. And like someone beautifully said, motivation eventually comes crashing down. We cannot maintain motivation. But how to get things done even whilst we are not motivated, that's where discipline comes in. And now this book by Ibn al-Jawzi, have any one of you heard about Ibn al-Jawzi before? Ibn al-Jawzi, have someone heard about Ibn al-Jawzi? Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, was a renowned scholar from the 12th century. So now we are in the 21st century. So almost 900 years back, there lived a great scholar named by Ibn al-Jawzi. So this book, Disciplining the Soul, as just like the name suggests, is the second, before that, this is the second book that we are going to be going through in our reading club. What was the first book's name? Someone say in the chat, what was the first book's name that we went through? What was the first book's name that we finished in our reading club? No one? Yes. Diseases of the Heart and its Cure. So now, sticking to the same topic, now we are going to disciplining the soul. It's heart, soul, we are sticking to the same theme. Now we're going to look at how to discipline our soul. And this is a book that has, stood the test of time, because it's been 900 years since it has been written. Okay, the author lived in the 12th century. And for a book to stay through the test of time truly speaks about the barakah that Allah has put in the book. This book provides valuable insights and guidance on how to purify and refine one's soul through self-discipline and spiritual development. 5 daily prayers, if you take a look at that, I could be sleepy, I could feel slumbery, I could not feel the mood to pray, but I have to pray the 2 couple rakats every single day. I do not have a choice. So Islam forces us to be disciplined, and that's not a bad thing. The word force, I'm not using it in a bad way. It's a good thing. We are forced to be disciplined in our life. It offers practical advice on overcoming weakness and attaining inner peace through self-reflection and adherence to religious principles. And then readers will learn how to strengthen their character, cultivate positive habits, and strive for righteousness in their daily habits. So basically, this book is for us, couch potatoes, as they call it, where we know, all of us know having a disciplined life is the way to go, myself included. As I've said in the beginning, I'm not the most disciplined person in my life, but this book perhaps will help us, inshallah, through making us itself think on how to be more disciplined and how to navigate our lives in a more disciplined fashion, inshallah. Ibn al-Jawzi's teaching emphasize importance of perseverance and steadfastness in one's spiritual journey. This thing called discipline, right? No matter what we have to achieve in our lives, we have to have discipline. Whether you be a Hufaz, talib al-ilm, you're traveling, you want to, memorize the Quran. You cannot sit in one sit and finish the whole Quran. You have to, sit through the days when you do not feel like it, through rain and storm and cold and hot. You have to sit there and memorize the Quran. So that needs consistency, and for consistency, we need discipline. So this book helps us, to stay steadfast in our spiritual journey. The book serves as a valuable guide for personal growth, empowering individuals to attain spiritual enlightenment and moral excellence. Disciplining the Soul has stood the test of time, remaining relevant and influential for centuries, making it a timeless and enduring piece of literature. This insightful work will inspire readers to lead a more mindful, purposeful, and fulfilling life, aligning their actions with their spiritual beliefs. Let me ask you, are there things, my brothers and sisters, are there things that you start in your life? Because I certainly know my case, my answer is yes. But you start certain things, whether that be just you started to read a book, or you joined a club, or you started to work on some project, whether that be video editing or calligraphy or writing a book or poem. You started it and you were very motivated. You had good reasons to start it. Your intentions were pure. But then the initial motivation died off, and then that went into the abandoned list of projects where you never look back again. Do you have things like that? If yes, say yes in the chat. And it'd be good if you also, if possible, you could mention what it was. What was that one project? There would be multiple for me. There's n number of projects like that. What was that one thing that you abandoned? You thought, absolutely, yeah. What, if possible, could you say what that was? Was it writing a book, editing a video? Who was it? Now, I'm pretty surprised if there was only 2 people who actually started it and then did not complete it. I thought a lot of other people were there too. So there is a lot of productive people here. So I'm really surprised that you guys actually complete things that you begin, all the things. I know I'll abandon, so I don't even start. Many projects left midway, completing a book, studying a chapter. Exactly. There is when we, for me to relate with Brother Faisal, right? When there is a lot of projects that we started, then we abandon midway, then we reach a point where we just feel like, there's no point in starting because I won't finish it anyways. Okay, so that's not the best way to go about it, but yeah. N number of things, journaling, exactly. I'm pretty sure everyone in this list, in this call, in this meeting, have attempted to write a diary, to journal their life, but then abandoned it. They're working out, exactly. So we started writing a diary, we started working out. 1st of January, we were so pumped up. Then we started working out, then nothing happened. 2 days in, 3 days in, that motivation died, and we're back to square zero. So it does happen. So why is this happening? What's the reason of this happening is the lack of discipline. And this is exactly where this book comes in. And now, when reading this book, having a lot of knowledge is basically useless unless we put that into practice. This is primarily to myself. Knowing a lot of things, knowing a lot of ayah, knowing a lot of hadith, knowing a lot of quotes by the Salaf and the Aimma, it's basically useless if we do not put that into practice in our lives. So if you're reading this book just for the sake of getting through the Readers Club, without even trying to practicalize in your life, basically this whole journey it's a waste. So as you're reading through this book, and there's a reason why Reading Club goes very slowly. We could skim past books. We could get a summary and we could just zoom past books, but we're not doing that because we need people to read through the pages, to live with the pages, to feel and bond with the pages to a level where they feel it. They don't memorize the pages, but they know the concepts well to internalize that into their life. So we need to internalize whatever is there in this book to the best of our abilities in our lives. And again, Just disclaimer, I'm not saying I'm the most disciplined person in this world. And this book is an ideal resource for anyone seeking to enhance their understanding of Islamic teaching and apply them practically in their daily life. So it's not a bunch of theoretical, abstract, stories. Rather, it's practical tips on how to, internalize and practicalize these Islamic teachings into our lives. Remember to adjust and elaborate. Okay, so this is basically this book, Ibn al-Jawzi's Disciplining the Soul. We'll have games involved with this. We'll be having, accountability, just like the features that we said about the reading club in the first session. All that will be there, inshallah. So that is basically this book, Disciplining the Soul. Let me ask, did someone, with the last book, many of the participants internalized the concept that were written in the book. Alhamdulillah, some members did so many missions that they got all the messages of the book by heart. Alhamdulillah. So imagine, there may not be a lot of books that we read in our lifetime. Okay, till now you may have read, let's say, even if you have read 100 books, how much content did we retrieve? How much content is there with us right now? It just like throwing glitter to a glue paper. Some may stick, all others will fall off. But when we take our time and go through the book slowly and steadily, inshallah, a lot more glitter will stick to the paper being our hearts. So stick to the missions that are being given, inshallah. And let me ask you, did anyone read this book prior? Did anyone go through this book or hear about this book? No. Alhamdulillah. So that's good news. Now we can start fresh. So there is an element of, a boredom that comes with reading a book again. So if you have not read this book, alhamdulillah, that's a good sign. And even if you have read this book, that's a good sign too, because now it's a revision for you. You may not have gone through this book like the way we're going to go through prior, because now we're going to take our time. We have no rush. We are not doing this to prove it to someone else. We're not doing this to have a bragging right. Rather, we are doing this to turn to Allah and say, Ya Rab, seeking knowledge is an obligation upon the believing slaves. You taught that to us, and we are trying, Ya Rabbi, for that. Okay? Seeking knowledge. This is seeking knowledge. This is a seeking knowledge of Allah's deen. Now we are reading books of the great scholars of the past through missions and games. At the end of the day, we are still reading the book. We are trying to internalize it. Why? Why are we doing all this, my brothers and sisters? That's your first question. Wafika normally starts the sessions with this. I'm sorry I pushed it towards the end, but let me ask you, why are we doing this in the first place? All this? What's our purpose? Why reading club? Why COJ? Why all this? What's the point? To implement it. Again, why are we trying to implement it? What's the reason? Exactly. For the sake of Allah. Fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah. Hoping to see the face of Allah. That's not directly referring to this context. It's regarding people fearing other people, not to get their thanks or praise, but rather to see the face of Allah, to get to see Allah. So our end goal is Jannah. The end goal is to please Allah. So we are doing all this to please Allah. So my dear brothers and sisters, yes, by reading this book, you may sound more educated. You may be able to quote things and dominate others. When someone starts spewing stupidity, you can say, did we read Ibn al-Jawzi's Disciplining the Soul in this page? This quote is said, and according to that, what you're saying is wrong. You could do that, but your intention should not be to do that, because one of the first three people to enter hellfire is one. Do you know? Do you know the first three people one of the first three people to enter hellfire, who they are? The first three people. There's hadith regarding this. Do you know anyone? The first three people, one of the first three people to enter hellfire. Exactly. One is a hafiz or a scholar or a Quran reciter, yes. Then two more. Who else? one who wants to show off is the gist or is the common trait between all three. But who are these three people? Who are these three people? It's clearly mentioned, it's explicitly mentioned, these three people. Who are these? Okay, I'll say who these three are. One is a shaheed, is a martyr. Okay, is the one who got killed in the name of Allah, for the sake of Allah, who went to jihad for war, for the sake of Allah, for Islam, and got killed. He is the first one not to enter paradise. He is the first one to be dragged on his face to hellfire. Then there is a scholar, a Quran reciter, who learned Allah's words, who taught other people about Allah's religion. He was not the first one to go to Jannah, rather one of the first people to be dragged on the face to and flung into hellfire. Then there is a very generous man who spent wealth in all the ways he could possibly do in the path of Allah. Again, his wealth, his sadaqah jariyah did him no benefit. He's one of the first people to be dragged on the face and thrown into Jahannam. Why? All three of them, the common trait was riya, or showing off. They did. The first one, or the person who died for the sake of Allah, really did not die for the sake of Allah, but he fought just so that people could say, that guy, he's a very brave man, he's a warrior, to get people's praise. And he got that in this world. He did not do it for the sake of Allah. And innamal a'malu binniyah, the intention, the action is based on the intention. The reward of the action is based on the intention. Their intentions were not to please Allah in the first place. Okay, so what they wanted the praise of people, they got that. And when they got to the akhirah, they had nothing left. They are being thrown into hellfire. Then the scholar, he did not to please Allah, not to spread Allah's religion, to please Allah, rather he did so that people could say about him, he's a fantastic reciter, or he's a great alim, he knows a lot about the religion. Okay, so we need to be very careful not to be falling into these three categories. And the third one, he did so that people could say he's a very generous man. He did not spend for the sake of Allah. So be very careful when you're doing any acts of worship. Do not do it, because imagine we would be doing it. Even in that hadith, we can understand all these three people said to Allah, Ya Rabbi, I did it for your sake. I did it for your sake. But Allah says, Kadabt. Again, I'm paraphrasing. I don't exactly recall the hadith. Allah said, you have lied. You are lying. You did not do it for Allah's sake. They did it for some worldly gain. We need to be very careful. I know I'm going off topic. Whether we are reading this book, or we are reading Quran, or we are teaching people, or we are joining sessions, or we are giving charity, or spreading deen, doing da'wah, doing public da'wah, private da'wah, giving sadaqah, regardless of what acts of worship we are doing, we need to make sure our intentions are pure, because one of the last things that we would want is to die and meet Allah thinking that we have a lot of good deeds, only to realize that all our good deeds were fluff, not for the sake of Allah, rather for the sake of people. So even when you're reading this book, Disciplining the Soul, you're going to get a lot of insights. Internalize that into your life, teach it to other people. Why? Not so that they think that you're a great alim, but rather because you want them to internalize in their life and then teach to others, so that you get good deeds. That's a sadaqah jariyah. What are the three things that stay that keeps on giving us reward even after we die? What are the three things? What is one of them? Oh, my friend's mouth died. Anyone? Exactly. There is sadaqah jariyah, or charity. Then there is, let me stop sharing the screen just a second. Okay. There is sadaqah jariyah. Then there is children, righteous children who make dua for their parents. And then there is knowledge that we left off. So if you teach someone to pray or to read Quran, when they read, for every letter that they read, inshallah, you'll be getting the reward too, and their reward will not be diminished. And when they teach someone else, you'll be getting that too, because you were the chain, you were the beginning of that chain. So when you're learning books like this, try to share the quotes, try to share the things that you learn from this book. Again, not so that people think you're some this great pure Muslim, rather because you want to earn good deeds. And even after you die, you need people to, you need good deeds to come into your akhirah account, inshallah. With that, I think, again, as I say all this, I'm not the most disciplined soul in this world. I'm not the most disciplined person even in our team. I'd rather be in the bottom. So with that, I think I'll end this session, and that is some points regarding the book that we are going to start. This is going to be a beautiful journey, inshallah, with a lot of games and missions, inshallah. The name of the book is Disciplining the Soul by Ibn Jawzi, rahimahullah. So we'll be beginning that book very soon. So hoping all of you stay till the end of this book and beyond. Barakallah fikum. Any right that I said is from Allah and His Messenger. From Allah. Any wrong that I said, Allah and His Messenger is free from that. That's from me and Shaitan. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think that is it, right, Farida? And I'm sorry for this video. I'm switching from the laptop to the camera, to the phone. I'm sorry for that. My phone was about to die. So I think we can end the session, inshallah. Sister Fari, is that it?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair for a beautiful session. We can end it.
Barakallah feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone.